What's going on, family? Welcome back to another episode. Make sure you like and subscribe, and let's get into it. What the was that?
So this building is where the devil lives. You don't believe me? It's a black building, black windows, and it's the Pfizer building. Anyway, if we look here, it would look like it's inhabited all the way up, but it's actually only inhabited to about here. This is just a brick wall covered by a black window facade to look like it's bigger and more successful than it actually is. This is the last inhabitable floor right there. Everything else is a broken down, ugly, two-tone brick wall.
Oh, I just want to know what's in there.
Who's putting what into your mind? They tell us what to eat, they tell us what to buy, they tell us how to dress, they tell us what to think, they tell us who to vote for, and we just listen, observation, imitation, repetition. If you look at your body and brain as the hardware in your computer, and you look at the software as the things you put in your mind, you have a software program that drives the hardware. So you dehypnotize people by helping them take in stuff that's good for them rather than not recognize they're taking in stuff that's bad for them.
This just reminds me of what I just heard recently, somebody saying that as soon as you take responsibility and accountability for your life, yourself, and your surroundings, you automatically become a conspiracy theorist.
Find yourself stranded in the Pacific Ocean, you're already doomed. But if you find yourself stranded and floating towards this island, just know that you're never coming back to civilization. This is Vostok Island. Vostok Island, from what you can see, looks like a dark hole. But if you're looking from the side, this is what you see from it. It is an inhabitable land. Nobody lives here. The trees are super high, like 30 meters high. That's like 98 feet high. And the tree, they're called Paisania trees, nicknamed the bird catchers, pretty much meaning their long, sticky seeds can trap seabirds and prevent them from flying. So they catch the birds, and then they eat the birds. But they're not really eating the birds, they just ain't letting the birds off the island. So the ants are eating the birds, or whatever's in the grass, the roaches or whatever. But you're not getting off that island. You ain't eating them birds either. All in all, ain't no reception here. Ain't no Wi-Fi here. Ain't nothing you're going to be able to do here. Some snakes that probably ain't been discovered. And if you find yourself here, just stay on the boat.
I guess we're not going there.
So this was a ISS whoopsie when one of the astronauts on the ISS was holding up a hammer and a card, and he let them go, and the card fell. And I know that a lot of people understand that that's because this was most likely filmed in a studio, but a lot of people seriously still consider this to be real. Like, there was a guy that commented and said, well, gravity will sometimes take certain objects and it'll do that. So sometimes it'll affect certain objects and not others. So that's why it pulled the card down. I seriously can't imagine being that dense to believe that. I really can't. It's so sad to me. I mean, do the research. The information is out there now. So do the research. I love you all, and this is my opinion.
If it took anything down, it would have been the hammer before it took the deck of cards. Come on now.
In the beginning, God created the heavens, and the earth.
And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. And God called the firmament heaven. And God called the firmament heaven.
The one who builds his upper chambers in the heavens and has founded his vaulted dome over the earth, vaulted dome over the earth. Praise him, highest heavens, and the waters that are above the heavens.
So we read this passage many times. Most of us have, but this is a great way to actually look at the visual, which makes a lot more sense. And it's right there in your face.
In plain sight.
Smile I've ever seen out of Mark Zuckerberg.
So the song Shake It Off was about how I shed my skin every 1,000 years. And the song Bad Blood was about how I drink blood out of my Grammys.
A toast to blood. Save some blood for Paul Rudd.
Begins at the dawn of history. The birth of the very first society begat the need for the very first secret society. A fraction of early humans were born smarter than their fellow cavemen. And if they would not listen to reason, perhaps they would listen to a higher power. And thus the Order of the Black Robes was born. Operating from the shadows using secret knowledge, we and our descendants kept watch over all of human history.
Well, not to point out the obvious, but fire, plague, acts. If you're watching over us, why didn't you stop these things?
Stop them. We unleashed them.
If you drink Starbucks, watch this.
Starbucks didn't publish their ingredients for their coffee drinks. It was a mystery until I convinced a barista to show me the ingredients on the back of the bottles they were using to make menu items like their famous pumpkin spice lattes. I found out here in the United States, Starbucks was coloring their PSLs with caramel coloring level 4, an ingredient made from ammonia and linked to cancer, but using beta carotene from carrots to color their drinks in the UK. After publishing an investigation and widespread media attention, Starbucks removed caramel coloring from all of their drinks in America and started publishing the ingredients for their entire menu.
I never saw what the hype was about when it came to Starbucks.
Twin Towers are an 11. Flight 11 was hijacked. New York is the 11th state. There were 11 crew members on the flight. 9/11 adds up to an 11. New York in gematria adds up to 111. Freemasonic pillars are an 11. With the black and white checkered board, black and white add up to 11. 11, 11. Black is matter, white is spirit. Was this just a Masonic ritual? I'm not making any claims, but I'm just pointing things out.
Don't worry, guys. That's just a coincidence.
Explain why we're not getting to see these images live. The Apollo 11 landing was broadcast live. Why now don't we have the technology to see all of this live?
And we're getting a picture on the TV. Got a good picture, huh?
He's on the moon. The second man is on the moon. Neil Armstrong getting ready to move the TV camera now out to panorama position.
Okay, as far as distance goes, Neil, and we'll line you up again when you finish the panorama. Tell me if you got a picture here.
I got a beautiful picture, Neil.
Issues with file transfers. We did have a number of communications glitches. We had either forward or return link problems.
Also, during coast in the zero gravity of environment of space,
it's very difficult to transmit on the fly, if you will, and get that all the way back to Earth.
Struggle to get communications.
Unfortunately, they're going to be in the darkness. They will not be sunlit, so we won't get very good video of them.
And there's still going to be somebody fighting for their life to try to prove otherwise.
It was wild that I didn't know how close my own wife was to the Clintons.
That you were married to her.
And well, I was married to her.
How close was she to the Clintons?
I mean, cell phone away, or hey, tell Ye to say this away, or hey, go out and use your platform to push the vaccine away.
Hey, honey. Yo! Oh.
If that didn't give you anxiety, woo!
Hey, I'm gonna keep it a buck. It's something about the Getty's Museum that we don't know about, bro. The Getty's Museum we don't know about. And there's reports that saying that the fire has reached this museum as well, bro. If you never heard of the Getty, and you never been here in real life, I guarantee you've been here on Grand Theft Auto or you know what this place looks like, bro. Now, if you seen Ali Carter interview or her old interviews of her explaining her experiences, right? She was talking about a lot of things are underground in LA. There's an underground world in LA. What I mean by underground world is there's an underground tunneling system, right? Now, Ali Carter says that they, quote unquote, built this. It was already there, right? But the people that's there now just inhabited it, right? But when I see these structures like the Getty Museum and things like that, bro, Ali Carter was saying that a lot of these things are connected. Underway, that way, the Vlone way, the V-Lone way. I'm trying to keep the video up, if y'all know. So, do your homework on the Getty's Museum, bro.
What is the Getty's Museum? And speaking of Hollywood, I just saw Blink Twice last night. So crazy.
This shit's got the gun. Find this shit. This actually, look.
That's crazy.
Parents are a pair who rents. Because you don't own your child, you sign them away using a signature. You signed your nature with a sigil. A sigil is a symbol used in witchcraft. Oh my God! You are born into this world, and the word born comes from barren, which means lifeless, dull, and boring. Then you are controlled by the government, the governmentality. They control your mind. Everything physical began as a thought in the thinking mind. The mind is the root cause of reality, so they control your mind, not your body. They do this by broadcasting spells to north, east, west, and south, the news. My God! Wow! Then they teach you the vowels in this specific order, A, E, I, O, U, to teach you that you owe them to become a slave. You are weak in the weekdays because you are working. Where you were a king, you are no longer a king if you are working. Then on the weekend, you are weakened from the weekdays. Days is a daze where you are in a state of confusion. The television is used to tell a vision, to program you on the programs. They want you to think slaughter is laughter, hello is hell is low. Words are swords because they mold your mind. They also create three-dimensional sound waves which impacts the fabric of matter. I believe that we were never meant to use words. Language has been manipulated so that we no longer use telepathy because we are all connected on the mental plane. We still have telepathic powers which we call intuition.
37 hours after he took the oath of office, President Biden's White House opened up a portal for the FBI to begin to have access to social media posts on all the different social media sites. And the FBI then invited in the CIA, DHS, the IRS, and CISA. CISA is this new agency that is the center of the censorship industrial complex that is in charge of making sure Americans don't hear things that their government doesn't want them to hear. And those agencies and other agencies, including the health agencies like CDC, were given access to go into the social media sites and change posts and slow walk things and shadow ban posts.
Guys, do you realize what we would have had if we had 4 more years of that? Share this with a friend and comment your thoughts below.
We will always be silenced. I don't care who's the president, but we will always be censored because our words are power. And the way that we share information right now on TikTok and other social medias is already too much for them, but they are using it in their best interest for now. But if it gets too carried away, best believe they will cut it off.
But I believe today the most serious evil organization on the face of the earth is the Vatican. You're talking the Knights of Malta, which gave us the 6 men who founded the CIA in America, were all Catholics, members of the Knights of Malta. When you begin to look at the banking fraternities in America, like the Bank of America, Union Bank in California, all of these people who founded these banks and today are running the banking establishment are all Knights of Malta, Catholic Masonry. All the kings and rulers in Europe rule by the divine right. It's called the divine right of kings. What are you talking about? Who represents divine to give the king the right? The Pope. The Pope appoints certain families to be over the French. The Pope appoints certain people to be over the Germans and over the British. And so by divine right. Why? Because the Pope represents God. And the Pope says that this family is holy and that they should rule. And therefore, they could now say they rule by divine right.
5, 4, 3, 2, are you ready?
So that's a sport?
How dare you think that your government could be involved in a false flag attack at all? Well, let me tell you something, sweetheart. You don't have to believe that 9/11 was an inside job, but you better tether yourself to the understanding that false flag events are a reality because a former sitting president who was subsequently assassinated in the back of a car next to his wife, JFK, he refused to sign off on a false flag event. The CIA came to him. This is called Operation Northwoods. You should look this up. One idea that they floated was a fabricated shoot down of a U.S. Air Force plane. They also floated blowing up a U.S. ship. And other ideas that they had were just to orchestrate a series of terror attacks on United States citizens. They thought maybe in Miami, maybe in D.C., we'll just start killing people and blaming the Cubans. And JFK said, this is maniacal. I absolutely will not sign off on a false flag event against American citizens.
We have been taught to see time as linear, past, present, future, a straight line we're traveling along. But what if I told you time isn't real? The Nobel Prize in Physics in 2022 revealed something groundbreaking. Time is not fundamental. It's an illusion, a construct that arises from energy and perception. Think about it. Time feels real because we need it to make sense of our experiences. It's like a framework we've created to navigate life. But in truth, every moment, past, present, future, exists simultaneously in a single eternal now. So what does that mean for us? It means we're not bound by the past. We're not stuck waiting for the future. The only thing that's real is this moment right here, right now. Now here's where we shift. When we stop seeing time as a constraint, we free ourselves to live fully in the present. We can unify the fragmented pieces of our lives and step into a state of wholeness. And this is where creation happens. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, now. So let go of the illusion of time. Step into the eternal flow of energy. Because when we embrace the now, we embrace the infinite.
I'm not gonna lie, I understand that obviously, but it's still so hard to really grasp that idea.
I'd like to thank each and every one of you for your hard work and dedication to our cause. In reviewing this year's progress, let me say that we have been highly effective in conditioning the people's minds to accept our solution to the world's problems. The energy crisis here in the United States was exceptionally successful worldwide, and we expect similar success with our upcoming food shortage. Our labor leaders have made great progress by causing confusion and work stoppages in all areas of the world. Financially, the dollar is being devalued even faster than we could have hoped. Politically, the public has lost total confidence in any form of government. The threat of universal war is a daily possibility. As you know, we ourselves do not need to hold any visible office of leadership. As a matter of fact, it's better that we do not. We control the finances, news media, food, transportation, energy. We control everything. It is important that you, as world leaders, keep our program before your countrymen.
Well, there y'all have it. And what movie is that? If anybody knows, comment down below.
The Titanic was actually a hit job.
What? Real?
Yeah. So basically what happened was all the richest people in the world in 1912 were supposed to be on this ship. You had the Rothschilds and their basically lackeys at that time who were called J.P. Morgan. And all of these guys are supposed to be on this ship, but there's also another guy who was on that ship. His name was Mr. Uster. He was the richest man in America at that time. He owned 40% of every mortgage in America. Imagine. Damn. This guy's a gangster. I'm not saying he's a good guy. This guy was in the way of the Federal Reserve. They wanted to create a central bank, the Rothschilds. They can't just take someone out of that importance. They made this big deal, everyone going on the ship. Yeah. And then in the last seconds, all the Rothschilds people exited the ship. Like right before it was about to take off. The ship sunk. All of a sudden, the richest guy in America died on the ship. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, all the politicians who he was basically bribing, all that money evaporated. So they went all to the Rothschild side. And then next year, 1913, they started the Federal Reserve Bank because there was no more opposition to it. Okay? These are criminals. They got away with it, so it is what it is. I mean,
saying that NASA figured out
that we're actually living in these sort of civilizational cycles that we really have no control over. They're kind of these hard resets.
Exactly.
Maybe we're headed towards one right now.
And in order
they're hiding it.
And in order to cover it up, they blocked all knowledge of the binary star companion so that that whole cycle would not be understood.
That's insane.
Is it though?
I don't know. I mean, I need to.
If there was an asteroid,
details,
I'm not saying this in an apocalyptic way, because I would actually. The next part of this is we should talk about how I believe we may be able to prevent that.
Okay.
But what I mean is, if governments knew about a giant asteroid coming towards the Earth or a comet, would they tell everybody?
Maybe not. Maybe not.
Widespread panic.
Sure.
Complete society collapsing.
And you're of the opinion that this dead star is headed towards the sun now.
Yes.
And so, do you have, based on your
cycles of what we see in ice cores throughout Antarctica and Greenland of a consistency?
And what's your model of how much time we have left based on that?
We're right in it right now.
So,
very interesting how consciousness seems to rise at the same time that the sun starts to emit more energy. And this gets into, again, lost civilizations, what they knew.
Guys, these videos are amazing. Honestly, I am speechless. Guys, thank you so much for joining me for another episode. I appreciate you with all my heart. If you are just now joining us today, make sure that you like the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell down below so that you are notified every time a new video is released. As for now, you guys, everything's everything. Be good and do right, and I will catch you on the next one.